Welcome to this masterclass in Microsoft 365 Copilot prompting. We're going to be looking at getting better results in Word, PowerPoint, and Teams. So folks, I'm Mark Thompson, an Informed Microsoft 365 adoption specialist, and today we're working with Bilal Khan, one of our Copilot trainers. So we're going through this introduction. It's always fun to say hello to everybody. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at, and we're going to go straight into a demo. It's very few slides for this one. A Copilot in Teams, Word, and PowerPoint. And we're going to look at starting with a poor prompt and building up and building up and building up, and just looking at some real life ways to work with it. So it's demo time. So Bilal, would you like to take the share, please, and then get us started?
Perfect. Thanks very much, Mark. Perfect. So yeah, let's get straight into it. I'm going to kick off with Teams, and I'm just going to take you through some techniques that you can use to get your prompts a lot better in Microsoft Teams, Word, and PowerPoint. And the first thing that you need to remember is when it comes to Copilot prompts, I like to split it into 4 different things. There's 4 different features or 4 different points you can say that you need to remember, which can make you a lot better and make you a bit of a master in actually prompting. And the good thing is they're not too very complicated or complex at all. They're just quite easy to remember. The first and foremost thing is when you're giving any prompt to Copilot across any single app on Microsoft 365, including Teams, is the goal. So what do you actually want Copilot to provide you? That's fairly obvious, even though Copilot AI is very clever. It can't assume what you want it to give you, so you have to give it something, so you have to tell it. The second thing is the context. Why do you need it? Sort of, what's the purpose behind it? Why you're creating it? What it's sort of for? The source, what you want it to use. So where do you want it to get the information from? Do you want it from a website? Do you want it from a document, etc.? And finally, what's your expectations? How do you want it to be? How do you want the pitch and tone to be, the length to be? And yeah, they're the 4 different points. And the key is just remember, the more detail you give Copilot, the better answer it will give you. So the more you give, the more you'll get. It's a bit like a give and take situation. So I'm going to start off by showing you in Teams. So we're on the Teams chat. And one thing that I always find is when I've come back from holiday or I've got a really busy week, I just want to get an account of what my files are looking like, where they're stored, who's shared them with me, who's collaborated on them. And you can ask Copilot. Copilot can do that within seconds, saves you a lot of time going through OneDrive or SharePoint and doing it yourself. So I'm going to start off by grabbing one of my prompts. So I've got them preloaded here, which saves you from having to watch me type. And I'm going to head over back here, and I'm simply going to kick off with just a very basic and a bit of a, you can say a bit of a poor prompt, because it's simply just telling Copilot what to do without giving it any more information. But I've asked it, what are the past 10 documents I've accessed, right? So I've asked it this question. It's going to do what it does. It will take a few seconds to generate this information for me, and it will pick up what I've asked. So you can see it's found in total 274 files, and it's given me a list of my top 10, which is what I asked for. And you can see, AI being AI, it's picked up a little bit more than I said. So it's told me when I last accessed it, who's collaborated on it, and where the location is as well, which is really helpful. And it's a whole list of the top 10 that I have. But now I'm going to show you how you can actually add a little bit more to this prompt. And just like I said, giving a little bit more information, I'll get more information back, which is the key of why we're here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this prompt, and I'll show you what I've put in there exactly. But what I've said is, so I've asked it for, again, list the 10 files I accessed, separate them by storage location, and include the date I accessed them as well. But what I'm going to do, this is a top tip as well, if you've ever used Copilot before in Teams, which I'm sure you will have, is sometimes when you're using the same search bar and you do another one, it can get a little bit complicated and it doesn't always pick up. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to refresh my search box, and I'm going to type it straight into another one. So I'm just going to start again, which will take literally a second. I'm going to ask it to generate this information, and you can see what I've asked it to do now is separate them by storage. So I want to know which one's in OneDrive, which one's in SharePoint, which one's in any other section. So you can see here, it's now separated my list of files. It's given me when they were accessed as well, so it's given me that information. So you can see there, the more I'm asking it to do, the more it's delivering back to me, but it just needs that extra information. Now I'm going to go on to a little bit more. So I'm going to add a little bit more to the prompt. So once again, I'm going to refresh my page quickly and I'm going to type in the prompt here. So here I said, again, the 10 files I've accessed, separate them by storage location, include the data I accessed them, and then include any names of the people who have also collaborated on the document. So I want to know who I maybe need to message to ask a little bit more about what they've done. So I'm going to do that. I've added another part to my prompt. It's going to take a few seconds to do so. And you can see that my list and the outcome is getting better and better. And why? Because I've put more in the prompt. I've given it a little bit of context. I've given it the source, what it knows where it's going to get it from. And I've said how I want it. I want it in a way where it's separated into by storage location. So it's given me now a list for OneDrive, a list for SharePoint, a list for anything else. It's also giving me the names of people as well. So I know who's collaborated, and it's again told me who's accessed them. Finally, to make this even better and to get the best outcome, I'm going to make it even more detailed. So I'm going to go onto my Copilot again. I'm going to paste my final prompt here. And you can see here what I've done is separate them by storage location. I've even been even more specific now where I've said OneDrive, SharePoint, and other, because that's the areas they can be stored. And I've said include the date and include any names that I've collaborated. But I've also said two other things. I've said if I'm the only person, just state no collaborators, don't just put my name. And I've also said please include a link to each of the files. So I've put in a bit more information. I've asked it a bit more. Let's see what Copilot comes out with. And you can see here that it's given exactly what I've asked for. So it's given me a whole list again, separated them into different storage locations. And it's also given me who's accessed it, when it was accessed, who collaborated, and it's also given me a link. So each of them now has a link. So if I click on this, it will actually take me straight to the file. So you can see here, if you compare this to the first prompt, our prompts got better. Why it's got better is because I've just given it more information. So the key is to remember, and this is for any Copilot that you use on any app, the more information you give, the better outcome you'll get. It's just a give and take sort of situation. A second one that I'm going to quickly show you on Teams is one of my favorite features, is especially when I've come back from leave for a while, my email is always stacked up and I don't have time, or I don't want to spend time going through each and every email. So I can simply ask Copilot to, get that for me, get a view for me at least. And I'm going to show you the differences between the prompts that it can actually give. So I'm going to head over to my prompt table and I'm going to simply ask it to list the 7 latest emails from my inbox. So again, it's going to be a very, very basic prompt. I've simply just asked to do what it does. So I've given it the goal. And hopefully it will take a few seconds and you can see that it's now searching through my inbox and it's giving me the 7 latest emails. So it's told me, and it's told me a little bit more. So it's told me who it's from, when it was received, what's the status, and it's giving me a summary. So really good feature, and you can go up to any amount of emails. I've just chosen 7 for this purpose, but you can catch up on your emails really, really quickly. But let's say I want a little bit more, not just a list. So I'm going to go over to this, and I'm just going to specify, even though, in this circumstance has actually picked it up already, but sometimes what Copilot will do is not pick up everything that I've asked it to do. So you need to be a bit more specific. And when you use it more, you'll be able to see that. So now what I've done is I've said, can you list me the 7 latest emails, but include who's it from specifically and what date it was received. And it's given me the title, it's given me who's it from, who it was, when it was received, sorry. So it's given me that information, which is really helpful. But if I want to add a little bit more to my prompt, I'm going to just copy this last one and I'm going to go here and I'll tell you what I've put here. What I've said is I've said, can you list my 7 emails, separate them based on urgency, include who it's from, when they received, and also give me a link to the demo. And what I've done is I've added in the expectations point. So I would also like a little bit of a table, a summary table of all the information you've provided. Now I'm going to click this and hopefully it will generate the information that I've asked for, and this is what it's done. So firstly, it's grouped them by urgency. So you come back from leave, you don't have enough time to go through all of them. This will tell you which one needs your urgent attention, which is really helpful. So you've got 1 list for urgent, 1 list for moderate, 1 list for low. And also you can see that it's given me it's told me when it was received by, if there's any link as well. And what's happened here, you can see that sometimes, like I said, because I didn't refresh it, I just carried on with the conversation. It hasn't maybe picked up the link part, but if I had refreshed it, it would also give me a link to that email as well. But if I go down here, it's given me the summary table. So I specifically asked it for it to design a table for me, and that's exactly what it's done. And I can use that here. So that wraps up our quick and short demo of how you can prompt in Teams. Mark, right back over to you before I head over to Word.
Okay, Bilal, that's great. Thank you. So we've got a quick question from Steve. Steve Payne, do you want to pop off mute?
I was just going to ask, all of this, is this reliant on having the full licensed version of Copilot? Because none of this is actually working on the Copilot I've got.
Steve, yeah, you've nailed it. So that is the full version of Copilot. And actually, I should have maybe pointed this out at the beginning. So I do apologize, Steve, for not shouting it out. But what I would say to anyone who hasn't got a full version of Copilot, I'd like to focus not on that Bilal is getting this certain result. It's the technique of building up and having a good quality prompt. The techniques that Bilal's showing you could use on Copilot Web. And don't forget, the change, if it hasn't come already, it is coming, where even if you only have the free version of Copilot, you can still, in the right-hand pane, interact with the one document that you've got. So folks, if you don't have the full version of Copilot, still watch along, because the techniques that Bilal is showing you are still useful, plus that little in-between place I've just described as well. But thank you for explicitly calling that out. I do apologize, I maybe should have done that. Just before Bilal gets started on his next one, that prompt that Bilal ended up with, remember folks that you can save it and you can schedule it, can't you? You can schedule your prompts to run at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, do this thing for you. When you go into Copilot, you'll see it there waiting for you, and they're all laid out, ready to go. So remember, you can save and you can schedule. So because of time, we're going to go straight back to Bilal. Bilal, what you got for us this time?
Perfect, thanks, Mark. I'm now going to head over to Word. And the good thing about this is we can use what we've learned on Teams and apply it here. And it's just like Mark said, it's about the technique. So you can use this technique and apply it to any sort of Copilot, whether that's on the web search or whether that's on any app like Microsoft Word. So here, what we're going to do, we're on Microsoft Word, and we're going to head over to the Copilot toggle here. And let's just say you need to make a document. I want to make a document, for an example, on my organization, the Inform team. So I'm going to take this very basic prompt. So again, we're going to start off with a bit of a poor prompt, you can say, something that's very, very basic. And I'm just going to put that in here. So I'm going to paste that in here. Does that pick that up, or no, that? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So I've said I need to write a basic overview of an organization based only on its website. So you can see that I've given it the basics. I've said what I need, and I've said where I want it to get it from, but I haven't given it any more information about the context or the expectations of how I want it to be. I've simply just asked it a very basic response. So I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to ask it to generate. Copilot will then take a few seconds. Here, what it's doing now, it's actually scanning through the website that I've provided. And this is what it's doing, right? And for those of you who don't have like the paid license, you can actually do this on the Copilot search one as well. So if you go on just the free version and you type in a website, you can ask Copilot to do what it's doing here, essentially. And in a few seconds, this is what it's done. It's generated a basic overview of the organization based on the website. So it's given me, information on who they are. It's given me a link to where they've got that information from, what they do. And if I keep scrolling down, I'll be able to see everything else. So it's a very, like I said, brief summary, and I might need a little bit more information than what it's given me. And that's what you can do. You can make the prompt even better. So I'm going to take this prompt now, which I've got pre-ready here, and I'm going to go back to my document, and I'm simply going to click. So let me show you what I've added here. So what I've done is I've said I need to write an overview of an organization based on its website. Great. But I want to add a few more things. I want to make a bit more context, a bit more detail. So I want you to create a document with a section for each of the following topics. So I've given it specific topics now that I want it to use from the website. So who we are, what we do, our team, company timeline, and careers. And again, I've specified only use information from this website alone. So you can see there, the best thing about Copilot and using these techniques is you can make lengthy, more detailed, more complicated documents by simply giving it more information. That is the key. And that's what I've done. So I've asked it to give me, and now it's split them up into different sections, and it's given me titles for each of them, and it's only focusing on the parts of the website that I asked for. So who are we? What we do? It's a proper section, our team, company timeline, careers. And you can also see it's actually increased the information because I've asked for more sections to be covered. And you can also see it's giving you the references. So if you ever have a question mark of Is it all right? Because you should always double check when you're reading over a document. Don't just send it straight away when it's Copilot generated. You can simply do that by clicking on the references and checking if the information is all there and you're all happy with it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add even more to the topic, to the prompt, and I'm just going to make it even better. So I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to go back to this. And what I've done here, I'll show you quickly before I send it off. So I've done the same things. So I want it to be an overview. I want it to be a section for each of the topics, but I've said I also want a section near the end that covers other ad hoc topics. And I've added in a second thing. I want you to start off the document with an introduction explaining what will be covered in this document. So you can see there, I'm making it better. I'm adding things to it. I'm giving Copilot more information of what I need, more context, more of a goal, more detail. And then it will give me just as much detail back. And it's going to take a few seconds to generate. And you can see that it's generating my information there. But it's giving me an overview. So it's giving me an introduction as to what the document's going to be about, which is what I asked for. And then again, it's giving me the information for each of the sections. And finally, when I scroll down, there should be the last thing that I asked for, which is other ad hoc topics. So not just the topics that I asked it for, but can you find out more information from the website? And that's exactly what it's done there. It's given me that as well. Now, finally, I'm going to go and make the most lengthy prompt and the most detailed one, because I want the document to be even better than it already is. And this is the one that I'm actually finally going to use. So I'm going to paste that here. And what I've done, I've included everything that I've already asked it to do, but I've added more stuff. So I wanted to end the document with a statement, with a positive statement, actually, about the organization. And that's what I wanted to do. So I've added in an extra thing to save me from doing it, because that's what Copilot's there to do. It's help you to save you time. I'm going to simply click generate, and this is what it will do. It will take a few seconds and it will come out with all the information. So it's giving you a detailed organizational review. It's going to kick off again with the introduction of what the document is about. It's going to cover all the sections, and you can see there slowly, eventually, it's just taking a few seconds to get all the information ready for me. But you can see there, the more information I give, the few more seconds it's actually taking to generate. And it's taking a little bit more time just to gather all the information. But essentially, it's going to do exactly as I've asked it to do. And the reason for that is that I've just provided it with more detail, and I'm following those 4 points, remember. So the goal, what it wants, context, why do I need it, the source, where is it getting it from? So again, just that one website, nowhere else, and expectations, how I want it and what format. And essentially what it's going to do, what it should come up with, I think it's just taking a few seconds. There we go. I'm going to click on add to document, and you can see that I'm happy with it, and it's added all that information to this document. The other really cool thing I can show you on here is when you want to summarize a document, you can even add prompts to that as well. So if I go on here, now a really poor and sort of a basic one would be summarize this document, right? It's not that, it's just told it what to do, and it's a very simple, very basic prompt. You can use the same techniques that I've been using for all of this, like I said, on any Copilot. So you can be a bit more specific. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my preloaded one, and I'm going to ask it to produce me a 10 bullet point summary. So I want a 10 bullet point summary of this document, focusing on what the organization does and its career opportunities. So I've asked it to pick just 2 things for me, and I've said it's for a meeting with a director. When I do this, this will tailor the language so it's maybe a bit more professional, and it's made in a way that it will look nice and read nice to someone who's a bit more senior, a bit of a director, which is really good. And that's exactly what it's now done. So rather than just asking for a basic summary, it's given me a list that I asked for, bullet point list of 10 bullet points, focusing on the 2 sections that I asked for. And it's also, if you read it, it will be a bit more professional, a bit more tailored. The language is tailored so that your director can read it. And yeah, that wraps up how you can get better at prompts on Word. I'm now going to hand over back to you, Mark, before we crack on with PowerPoint.
Thanks, Bilal. I just want to ask, first of all, Bilal, thank you for sparing us typing. I noticed that you've got all your prompts ready to go, so I appreciate you sparing the typing. But folks, I just wonder, just while I wait for Bilal to get his next section ready, does anyone want to pop off mute and give us the 60-second overview of how you use Copilot in Word, or something you use it for, something you do? Anybody want to share? It's always nice to hear another voice. Doesn't matter how simple you think it is, it'd just be great to hear somebody else. Kevin, what have you got for us?
I use it. I get tasked with organising all sorts of training sessions for my organisation, different aspects of Microsoft 365. And as part of my session planning, I always do a lesson plan. So I use it to help me generate lesson plans.
Yeah. It's great for that sort of thing, isn't it? It just gives you such a great first pass.
And we're getting people using it to reword reports, so in social care, they're writing high-level reports, but they want, say, the child to be able to understand the reports. They're asking to rewrite it in the style of like a 12-year-old child.
That's a brilliant example. It is incredible for that sort of thing. It's not so. Bill, I was talking about creating stuff, but you're right. The transformation of information is also a big part of it as well.
Yeah, and the majority of our users, our colleagues, are all non-licensed version.
So are they still able to do some kind of functionality in there, or do they struggle?
Yeah, massive. It's unbelievable what you can do in there. It really is,
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The change recently where you can still, even without a license, you can work on the one document you're looking at. So it still can't get grounded and look at all your work stuff, but it can look at the document you're looking at. I think that's but I think I'm going to end on that point. That's a brilliant point. Make sure you remember that, folks, that you can get it to look at just the document, even if you don't have a license. So 30 seconds. Jane Staples, what have you got?
I'm dyslexic, and I find that I can write very randomly. So summarizing is really good for me. But the other thing is, when I've written something or I've typed something or a document up, I can get it to take that randomness out of it because it makes perfect sense to me. So
do you know what?
Organisational.
Yeah, so I was going to say a large government organisation I worked with, so many people came out and said that's the type of thing they use it for. It's incredible for that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so 30 seconds. Who have we got? Akida, what you got for us?
Yeah, similar to Kevin, I use it for presentations, but one good example that I've used it recently, literally a week or two ago, was during a recruitment process. So I had a job description and I said, draft me questions for interviews on the basis of this job description. It gave me 12 questions, and there was 3 on each themes: behaviors, attitudes, values, skills, and technical. So 12 questions in total. Then it gave me, with another prompt, it said, would you like the ideal response to this? It gave me that. And then it offered me, would you like a feedback template for unsuccessful candidates? So basically, it did the recruitment team's job.
That's incredible.
And it did it brilliantly. I was overwhelmed by what it provided me. It was perfect questions, exactly what I was looking for. And I know I'm going to use it now for that moving forward.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What I want you to take from what Akira just told us, folks, is that it makes suggestions. Look out for suggestions. It can sometimes give you quite a good thing to move on. But I'll come to you in just one sec. We've got 30 seconds for Claire Bentley. Claire Bentley, very quickly, what have you got for us?
It's very good at condensing. When you write your staff report and everything else, you only have so many words to do it in. So I can blabber on for it forever. So it was very good at condensing it. And another very quick one is in Outlook. If you want to find an email that's so old, put in the prompt of Copilot, and it's brilliant at finding things.
Brilliant. Okay, I love how you condense that as well. So Bilal, we're getting tight for time. We got 4 minutes to show your last demo, and then we'll wrap up.
Perfect, Mark. So yeah, we're going to finish off with a PowerPoint presentation. And here again, we're going to use the learnings of what we've done in Teams and Word and add that here. So simply when you're on PowerPoint and you want to turn to Copilot to help you create a presentation, there's a few more things that you can do with a prompt that can make your presentation even better. So we're on here, we're going to click on the Copilot toggle, and we're actually going to click on create a new presentation with a file. And when we're on here, because the file is actually going to be a source, so I'm first and foremost going to start off with what file I wanted to use, and that is the Inform Team document. And I'm going to go back to my prompts because I've got that ready, and I'm going to simply click on here, and I'm going to paste it here. So what I've done, I'm going to start off with, like I've done with Word and Teams, a very basic prompt. So I wanted to create a presentation about the Inform team. I want you to create a slide deck with a slide for each of the topics in the document. Only use this document, and you can come up with any of your appropriate images for each slide. So I've given it quite a basic thing of what I want. One feature I'm going to quickly show you, which is actually personally my favorite one. You can see here that it's going to use this basic presentation Oasis design, but you can actually change it on PowerPoint, and you can go over to your organization. And if your templates are already uploaded, you can actually click on this. So I'm going to choose the Inform Team brand template, and I'm going to click select design, and now it's going to make that presentation with the design of my organization, which is really cool. So I've put the prompt in, I've put the refer the document, and I'm going to click send. It's now going to do what Copilot does. It will take a few seconds to generate. So you can see here, it's coming out with a plan of my presentation. It's just going to tell me to check it. I can add any sections or make any amendments here that I want to make. And you can see here that the estimated slides is 23. I'm going to click on generate slides because I'm happy with what it's providing me. And you can see here it will take up to a minute, because you can imagine it takes a little bit more time than generating just a document, because it is a whole presentation from scratch. It's doing its research, it's using the document, it's also generating its own images because I didn't provide it with any, and it's also using the design template that I asked for. So just going to take a few seconds here. You can see the layout it's coming out with. Let's just give it a few seconds. Hopefully it's now applying the design, and it will take a couple more seconds hopefully, and then it will be ready. But it will generate hopefully the presentation that I've asked it to create. Let's just give it a couple more seconds, almost there. But that's the key here, oh, there we go, perfect. So you can see here that it's given me 26 slides, and once I'm happy with each of the slides, I can click on keep it, and I can go over it, and I can see here it's used the template design that I wanted it to use, which is really good. But let's just say this is still quite basic. It's only given me, the information that I asked for. I want it to include a bit more stuff. I want to tailor it. I want to customize it. So I want to add to that fourth point, which was expectation. So what am I expecting Copilot for me to produce? So I'm going to go on Plank presentation again, and I'm going to click on create a new presentation with a file. I'm first of all going to start off with what I did. So I'm going to reference this, and I'm going to go over, conscious of time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to the last, there was only one in between, but I'm going to go over to the last prompt. And what I've done here is I've just added in a lot more information, basically. And let me just quickly show you before I click generate. What I've done is I've said is I want a presentation about the Inform team, included the slide deck with a slide with each of the topics. But what I've done here is I want to start the presentation with an agenda slide. And I also want a slide at the end providing a summary of the organization, followed by a slide suggesting topics for the audience to explore further topics about. So you can see here, I want three more things, right? They're quite three big things. And simply what I've done is I've just added it in to the prompt. I've given it more information. I've been very specific, and I've added that in there. So I'm going to simply click generate, and it will do the exact same thing. It will take a few seconds, but you can see here you can customize it. You can add as much as you want. You can take away stuff. If you wanted tables in there, if you wanted specific pictures, if you wanted to tailor the length of the presentation, you can do that as well. So it's all about the technique. The more basic you are, the more basic outcome you'll get. The more detailed you are with Copilot on presentation, the more detailed it will come out with. And it will just take a few seconds. It's going to add the titles to the slide. It's going to add in an agenda slide. It's going to add in the thing that I asked for at the end, which was to cover anything else that I haven't covered. And you can see here that it's already done that. So it's added in the agenda, which is what I asked for. And you can, this is all about your initiative. Whatever you want, whatever you want to add here, you can do that, just as long as you're specific and you've told Copilot exactly what you're looking for. So before we wrap up, it just takes a few seconds, and we'll be able to see the final outcome of what we've got.
Yeah, but while it's doing that, Bilal, it's interesting to me when you use one of your templates, and especially if you also use your organization's images. That was one of the image options as well. I think this is the best it's ever been. I know that I don't know it's still not perfect, and there's still plenty of work you've got to do. But I think this is the best it's ever been. I think it's in a pretty good place.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, isn't it? And you can literally, it takes you a step away. It saves you a lot of time. If you're unsure where to start with a presentation, or you don't want to faff around with, adding your organization's design, Copilot is doing all of that for you. And you can see that it's got the agenda. And if I quickly scroll down to the bottom, it's got the other ad hoc topics, what I asked for, and the summary and further exploration as well. So yeah, that wraps up our PowerPoint Word and Teams Masterclass. I hope everyone found that valuable because it just took you through the quick techniques that you can use. I'm now going to hand over back to you, Mark.
That was brilliant, but I apologise for having to be a little bit rushed at the end there, folks. If you need to drop off, I want to thank you for joining the session. I apologise for running a couple of minutes over. So we're a Copilot Jumpstart ready tier partner, which means that we're in quite a good position now with Microsoft. In fact, it's a very privileged position. There's very few of us, but we can unlock £110,000 in Copilot training funding for you. We can help you look at the eligibility, the funding value, the types of engagement. It's very, very flexible. And if you're interested in that, please get in touch. We take care of the whole thing for you. We apply for the funding. We just help you make more from Copilot, and then we get it covered for you. So I want to skip over that very quickly. I want to thank you for coming to the session. Thank you for participating. The chat's always lively. It's nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces. But for now, folks, we are done, and we hope to see you on the next session.